Either way, I have finished eating. So, you know what that means. I don't have a transition, so we're just gonna move on.
Attention! 本製品は18歳未満の
I'm
方
going
は
to
プレ
get
イす
food.
ること
Alright,
が
I
でき
forgot your
ません。
sister is gay.
この作品は
I
フィ
mean,
クション
your
で
sister was making food.
登場する人物名ゆずソフト
Oh, right, I forgot to... Hang on, let me... Setting...
天使創
Interface...
造リブート
Not interface, where is it? In-game. Off. There you go. No more performance monitoring. But, either way, as you can see, Dexter's actually here this time. That's crazy. But, yes. Also, last time we played through Angelic Chaos, we, we got pretty far, right? You know, we almost, we almost got run over by a truck, right? We almost got isekai'd by a truck, couldn't? Where would that have sent us? Probably, it probably would have sent us to Diablo's original world. So that would have been pretty weird. But we stopped the truck so that nothing went wrong, so that Truck-kun didn't isekai us. But the problem was that truck was an oil tanker. And it was going to explode, but Diablo, and I mean by Riku, channeled all of his powers to shield everyone from that explosion. Of course, that was a big, that became a big fuss. But thanks to Noah, none of the people around the oil tanker remembered anything to do with Diablo or Kurumi, because she erased all their memories. How this will play out in the long run, I don't know. But a little bit after that scene, we find out who is giving Riku bad luck. And of course, it had to be a tanned demon girl lolly. Because why wouldn't she be? But either way, I'm hoping we get to see more of her. Alright? I'm hoping we get a little bit more about her. And I've already spoiled myself with some I've already seen some CGs with her in it. So I already knew what she looked like before we got to the reveal. But either way, let's get into it. Kaguya's brow furrows. Noah ended up coming home yesterday without finding the assassin. However, the unexpected then occurred. I couldn't believe my ears when I first heard Kurumi's report last night. To think the assassin would willingly reveal themselves, and in Kurumi's room of all places. Well, are you saying that Kurumi didn't tell you about why she was in Kurumi's room? Okay, so she did reveal it. So, what is this questioning of to think the assassin would willingly reveal themselves? Yeah, no shit, they would willingly reveal themselves to slay the person who summoned her, essentially.
どういう意味かさっぱりわからないんだけど、間違いなくそう言った。危害は加えられなかったんだよね。そういうのはなかった。なんていうのかな。
Kurumi probably would have said something if she did anything wrong to her.
あの子、私のことを味方だと思ってるみたいだった。でも邪魔されたから意味わかんなくて理由を聞きに来たって感じだった。 味方って、普通に考えればそんなわけないですよね。
I think the better question is, why is she the enemy to Diablo? Right?
私じゃなくて、スレイかな。スレイの理想を体現するものとか言ってたし。
It still doesn't make sense. Slow is Diablo's closest confidant. Why would she want to kill me?
そこだよね。詳しく聞く前に消えちゃって。
酔いの監視者、実在したなんてね。
Well, at this point, I think we can safely call them the watchdog of Twilight.
創作であると決めつけてしまったのは早計でした。明確に私の落ち度です。反省は後。織江。はい、すぐに調べさせます。
Oria hastens off into a different room. One where she can get in contact with her world, I imagine.
すまない、くるみ。僕が見つけられていれば、怖い思いをさせずに済んだのに。
それは全然、ノアちゃん悪くないし。わざと姿を見せてノアちゃんを誘ったって予想、当たってるかも。忍者みたいに現れて消えちゃったし。
隠密に長けた魔族か。それにしても、うかつね。くるみに接触するなんて、不可解だわ。
I think it makes complete sense. Okay, well, here's the thing. It is weird that, first of all, she knows Kurumi is Slay. Second of all, she's confused as to why Kurumi would try to stop her. And third, she's not really explaining herself that much. Do you remember when you said that I would like Toph a lot as a lolly, but I said I didn't because it was a show I watched as a kid/teenager? Uh-huh. Yeah, I remember saying you would like Toph. I looked into it more and I actually do like her. There you go. Here's the thing though. With Toph, she is very linked to feet stuff. So you know, there is that first layer with Toph, but there is that second layer. And I don't mean the layers of dirt on her feet, but that is also another part of Toph, is that she would have dirty feet. But, never mind. I'm just saying there's a link between foot fetish and Toph.
策はなったと言ったんだよね。
言ってた。私のせいでダメになっちゃったみたいだけど。
かぐやの言う通り。おかしいね。僕らを手玉に取っておきながら、最後の最後で軽率な行動をとるなんて。
やけになったんじゃ、計画がダメになっちゃったし。
訓練を受けていそうだし、それはない。とも言えないわね。
What do you mean? I didn't say there was a second thing. Second layer? Yeah, that's the feet stuff. The first layer is liking Toph because she's a lolly. Alright? The second layer is liking Toph because of feet stuff.
リクは魔王の力を制御できるようになった。殺すどころか真逆の結果になっている。リクを鍛えてしまった。
I hope it made him stronger. Because here's the thing, right? Riku has now been shown to get stronger when he's when he's in a desperate situation to get stronger in both Kaguya and Kurumi's routes. But in Kaguya's route, that resulted in him not being able to get it up. So while he was more powerful, there was still that underlying problem of him not being able to get it up. But in Kurumi's route, him getting more powerful solved that problem. Right? Which is weird that it happened, that could happen. But I mean, to be fair, they did explain it in Kaguya's route that he was able to control his mana too well.
リクを殺すことはさらに難しくなってしまった。私なら諦めるわね。
I destroyed the curse in my excitement, but maybe I should have left it alone. You could have traced the mana if I had just extracted it instead.
どうかしら。とはいえ、短絡的だったのは間違いないわね。
Now, to be fair, I feel like I've said that a lot, but there is still a lot of nuance between both situations, right? In Kaguya's route, he rapidly grew to protect Kaguya, right? Kind of a bad way of saying it, but the power he got from trying to protect Kaguya was more on the offensive side, right? Because his sole purpose there was to protect Kaguya. In Kurumi's case, this is purely it was purely a defensive magic, right? He fucking learned how to make a force field to, you know, surround the tank so that it wouldn't explode outside of the force field. So the reason why he got stronger, the result of him getting stronger resulted in two different forms of power. I guess that's the best way to, I guess I can explain it. Sorry.
諦めたのならいいけれど、天音の言うようにやけになったのならまだ安心はできない。追い詰められた獣が牙を剥くかもしれない。なりふり構わずね。
おとなしく帰ってくれればね。相手の動向が読めないのが厄介ね。
潜伏先も未だつかめていないしね。それなら時間もらえれば探せると思う。
あら、手がかりでも残していたの？
ある意味、そうかな。さっきリックにフォロー入れ損ねたんだけど、あの子のマナのことなら大丈夫だよ。
Wait, really?
うん。だって直接会ったわけだし。覚えた？
Oh, of course. You're brilliant at sensing mana.
探せると思う。じゃあ、くるみ先輩が資格を探し出せれば、かぐやさんに捕まえてもらって解決？ただ問題がね、変身して歩き回らないといけないから。ああ。
Well, you know, surely there would be a way for her to hide her presence, right? Noah and Kaguya can do that easily. So why wouldn't Kurumi be able to? And even if Kurumi wouldn't be able to, she can always use the fox mask, right?
角がないといまいち感度が。
あの格好で出歩くのは無理ですね。それなら簡単に解決できるわよ。
マジ？
私の仮面を貸してあげる。身につけておけば周囲の人の目をごまかすことができるわ。
What I tell you, I'm just that smart. Not like it was an obvious solution anyway.
神じゃん！かぐやちゃんありがとう！
It's an even more obvious solution if you've played through Kaguya's route, because that's exactly what they did at the end of her route to reveal Diablo, quote unquote reveal Diablo, and then have him quote unquote attack Kaguya.
本当にくるみ先輩が探すんですか？危なくないですか？
むしろ私が探した方が安全かも。殺すつもりなら昨日そうしてるだろうし、絶対とは言えないけど。
I mean, okay, here's the thing. How do I say this? I have a feeling that that girl doesn't have the ability to directly kill you. Right? Let me try to explain it in a different way. Kaguya's magic has a lot of offense, right? It's very offensive based. You can directly attack people with it. Her magic, you know, the little demon girl's magic, feels very CC based, right? Crowd control based. Very debuff based. Now, to be fair, I god damn it. Now, the thing is, we've only seen her use one type of magic, so who knows, maybe she can directly attack someone. But if her main goal was really to stop Diablo, and the way she was, and the only way she was able to do that was to give him bad luck, I don't think she would be able to kill him in any other way. Right?
またいずれって言ったんだよね。あの子、私と話したがってる。だから多分すんなりと見つけられると思う。逆にみんなと一緒だと警戒されちゃうかも。
でも一人で行くのはさすがに。
I'll go with her.
いや、お兄が一番危ないんですけど。
I know, but this is my problem to solve. I can't just hide away somewhere safe while I let Kurumi deal with everything. I know it might be harder to track her down with me there, but...
一緒にやろう。でも、一個訂正ね。もう、私の問題でもあるから。スレイの名前が出ちゃったし。二人の問題だから、二人で解決しよう。
Are you sure you're not saying that because you want to be with your boyfriend? Okay.
あの子の狙いはりっくんなんだし、逆にあっちから来てくれるかもだしね。なるようになる。
まあ、二人がいいならそれでいいですけど。
僕は引き続き空から警戒するよ。もしもの時は今度こそ僕が守る。ありがとう。でも、全然根拠ないんだけど、話せばなんとかなりそうな気はしてるんだよね。
Right. I guess it would make sense that you're confused considering you weren't here for me when I recapped what happened last stream. So last stream, it mainly centered around how Riku was getting a string of was going through a string of bad luck. And the reason that was the case was because someone cursed him with bad luck. And we find out at the end of stream that the person who was doing it was the Watchdog of Twilight, first of all. Second of all, a Gyaru demon girl who was a lolly. A Gyaru demon girl lolly. In regards to your tough question, obviously not. Watchdog of Twilight. The fuck? Well, here's the thing, Dexter. You were here when I brought that one up. Alright? You were here when the game brought up Watch Dogs of Twilight. Not the actual thing, but they mentioned the word. They mentioned the title. In the... What is it? No, I'm not going to explain. Because... it's so fucking much information. Alright? Here's the basic gist of it. Diablo and Slay came up with a plan after Diablo was killed. Slay filled the power vacuum that Diablo left after he died and established essentially a public order. In the meantime, while the power vacuum was being filled, Slay silently, steps away from being the figurehead of the new movement and creates the Watchdogs of Twilight. Any more specific than that, and you're gonna have to watch the previous episodes. Because I'm not going any further than that. Do you think I would like the little demon Gyaru lolly? Yes. Not in the way that you would like Maya or any characters that are dominant, but you would like her.
De, 考え甘すぎ?
そうね。もっとも、実際に対面したのはくるみだけだし、間違っているとも言い切れない。
Brat? I would think so.
仮面の貸し出し、やっぱり撤回させて。
え？
あなたに合わせて調整した魔法を付与する。何でもいいから、普段持ち歩いているものを預けてくれるかしら。
あ、うん。どうしよっかな。ヘアピンでもいい？
Yeah, which hairpin are you gonna pick, Kurumi? You've got two. You've got the anal beads hairpin and the normal hairpin. Never mind.
ええ。じゃあ、はい。
Kurumi takes one of the pins out of her hair and hands it over to Kaguya.
1日もらえるかしら。魔法の付与はかなり手間がかかるのよね。
了解です。お願いします。
ひとまず今日はこれでお開きにするけれど、くるみはここにいてもらった方がいいかしら。
魔法の付与に必要？
いてくれれば調整はしやすいけれど、必須ではない。一人にしておけないってこと。
True. The assassin snuck into your house yesterday.
あ、そういうことか。
うちに泊まってもらった方がいいと思うの。どう？
お泊まり？
無理にとは言わないけれど。
無理じゃないです。お泊まり会やったー。
危機感がないのは、くるみの美点かしらね。
一回帰っていい？着替えとか準備しなきゃ。
ええ、もちろん。
せっかくだし、あまねちゃんとのあちゃんはみんな一緒はダメ？
私は構わないわよ。
Okay, with a group that big, it's no long. You can't just call it a sleepover at that point. It would be closer. It would be more fitting to call it a slumber party.
私も別にいいですけど。
You know, as long as Riku isn't invited, because that would be weird. Wow, hell's frozen over.
は？何が？
Sorry, I didn't mean to rain on your parade. I'm glad you're down for it.
そんな付き合い悪いつもりないんだけど、タワマンに泊まる経験なんて今後できそうにないし。だよねー。楽しみ。のあちゃんは？僕は遠慮しておくよ。リクが一人になってしまう。
Well, I guess it's not a slumber party anymore. Well, there's still 4 girls, but never mind.
それなら、リクも一緒にどう？
Uh-oh. I'll pass too. I don't want to ruin your... I don't want to ruin you girls' sleepover. Yeah, you girls' sleepover.
遠慮しなくていいのに。
Yeah, maybe not for you or Kurumi, but I'm sure Amane would be worried about what Riku and Kurumi are going to be up to, what Kurumi would be up to with Riku tonight. Give me a break. I meet a mischievous smile with a sigh.
振られちゃったわね。残念だけど、二人は抜きで楽しみましょうか。
Especially if Kaguya would remain as flirty as she did just then throughout the rest of the night. You know.
じゃあ、一旦解散？
そうね。準備ができ次第、戻ってきて。
You know, Kurumi's able to put on a brave face now, but how would she be able to act if Riku was here the entire night and Kaguya was constantly flirting with him?
わかりました。
Well, at least we'll be searching for the assassins tomorrow, yeah?
そうね。準備ができ次第。リクも十分に気をつけて。
Okay.
リクのそばから離れないようにする。二度と出し抜かれないように。
You're really feeling guilty about that, huh?
当然だよ。
It wasn't your...
仕方ないじゃ済まない大失態だ。
Noah cuts me off, so I force a smile and stand up from the sofa. Just as we're all getting ready to leave, Moria comes back.
皆さんお帰りですか？ええ、解散。一旦ね。くるみとあまねには、ここに泊まってもらうことにしたわ。承知しました。では、寝床を整えておきます。お願いね。
じゃあ、また後で。
We leave the building and all head toward the station together.
じゃあ、りっくんとノアちゃんは、また明日。
Yeah.
またね。あまねちゃんは後でね。はい。
We go our separate ways and return home. We're back.
あらおかえり。早かったね。
ねえお母さん、今日友達の家泊まっていい？
友達の家に？あまねが？珍しい。
That's what I said.
お兄と同じ反応しないでよ。
Amane sighs and glances over at me to help, but I can't be bothered and slink back into my room instead. Phew. Huh? Get out of my room. Noah,
何？
why are you standing imposingly in front of the door?
護衛だよ、リクの。
I would have given you the pass if it was your route, but I'm already taken, so get out of my room. Oh, are you now?
そう、護衛。
You're not going to do that the whole evening, are you?
片時も離れるつもりはないよ。
Like I said, it would have been fine in your route, not in Kurumi's.
守ると言いながら、僕は何もできていない。汚名返上の機会を与えてほしい。
You know, Noah's pretty peeved that she's still second place. Right? Yeah, Noah's pretty peeved that she's still second place over Kurumi's first place, even though I have grown to like Noah a lot throughout every other character's route. But, you know, you're not going to reach first place like this. You don't need to redeem yourself in the first place. She doesn't seem to agree. She's been in low spirits ever since yesterday, come to think of it. And telling her not to worry about it isn't helping things. At least sit down, would you?
わかった。
She sits down in place and starts holding out her knees onto her knees, while staring directly at me. Yeah, we need to resolve this quickly, for Noah's sake as much as my own.
いいお湯でした。やばー、めっちゃお風呂広かった。2人でも余裕だったね。
私は一人で入るつもりだったんですけど。
いいじゃん、いいじゃん。せっかくのお泊まりなんだし。
ちょっと意味わかんないんですけど。
お二人ともお好きな場所にどうぞ。
お布団敷いてある。
織江に急ぎ手配してもらったの。お泊まり会ってこういうものなんでしょ？布団を並べて秘密を語り合う。
As long as the secret Kurumi shares has nothing to do with her dating Riku at the moment. Or her dating Riku.
ずい
Finally.
ぶん偏った知識を仕入れましたね。
あたしここ。あまねちゃんほら、隣。
まあどこでもいいですけど。
やばー、修学旅行みたい。ワクワクしちゃって寝られないかも。
本来の目的完全に忘れてますね。
魔法の付与はもう終わっているし、警戒は織江がしてくれているから問題ないわ。
めっちゃ隣に寝そべってますけど。
ご安心を。侵入者を感知する魔法を張り巡らせておりますので。
酔いの監視者について何かわかった？
See, even Kurumi's using the singular form of watchdog.
いいえ、まだ何も。手記を手がかりに調査を進めるよう指示を出しました。何かわかればすぐにお知らせします。
はい、お願いします。
さてさて、誰か秘密を話す？
あ、それマジでやるんだ。
じゃあ、はい。
あら、意外ね。あまねから話してくれるの？
秘密を明かす気はないですが、くるみ先輩に質問があります。
Oh, shit.
何
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand that Armane may have heard some things that were going on in Riku's room, but, you know, we didn't do anything like that. We were just, we didn't do anything, right? Never mind.
お兄のどこが好きなんですか？
いきなりぶっこんできたね。
やっぱり二人ってそういう関係なの？
This is the one thing I told you not to bring up, Kurumi.
うすうす気づいてはおりましたが。
まだカッコ仮だから言うのもなーって。
Right. You're using that excuse still, huh?
かっこ仮？
お試し期間中でして、正式には付き合っていないと言いますか。
へえ、それならまだ私にも勝ちの目はあるのかしら。
かぐやちゃんも？
冗談よ。割って入るつもりはないわ。
I mean, she did date him last round, but that's beside the point.
びっくりした。
お試しってなんでそんなめんどくさいことになってるんですか？
いや、私のせいだね。気になったきっかけが前世の記憶絡みでさ、自分の気持ちなのかスレイの気持ちなのかわかんなくて、だからいろいろ決着がつくまではカッコ仮ってわけです。
なるほど。スレイについて知りたかったのはそういった理由でしたか。
理由の一つね、一つ。頭痛もまだあるしね。 少しでも理解できたらなんとかなるのかなって。まあそういえばさ、あんまり突っ込まれたくないから話変えちゃうんだけど、りっくん魔王の力を扱えるようになったし、かぐやちゃん的にはお役目終了なの？
別に私は力の制御法を教えるためにここにいるわけじゃないわよ。
そうだっけ？
バランスを保っているのよ。私の存在が抑止力となる。リクが魔王の力を制御したことで、むしろややこしくはなりそうかしら。少しだけね。
お兄がやばいことしないか心配ってことですか？
そう考える者もいるわね。もちろん私は心配していないけど、大きい力を持っている。ただそれだけの理由で恐れる者は少なくないのよ。
姫様が抑えてくださっていますが、問答無用で排除すべし、封ずるべしという意見もあります。九段の宵の監視者はそういった手合いでしょうね。
けれど、くるみとくっついていてくれたのなら美談に変えられそうよね。
美談？
As much as you would think all over him is an is an exaggeration, how would I say this? Look, I saw the hate scene. I didn't play through it, but I saw the images, the CG on Hitomi, and yeah, she seemed to be all over him.
前世で結ばれなかった二人が世界を超えて愛し合うってね。くるみには受け入れがたいでしょうね。あくまでもこちらの世界でそう処理させてもらうかもしれないってだけよ。あなたが実際にどういう理由でリクに惹かれたかは関係ない。
美談にしてしまえば世論も味方につきやすくなります。さすが姫様、素晴らしい着想かと。
できれば結婚して子供まで産んでほしいわね。こちらの世界に魔王が根を張ったとなれば、過激な連中も安心できるでしょうし。
気が早いな。まだカッコ仮なのに。
でももうやることやって。
Yeah, I hate to break it to you, Kurumi, but you're a bit loud last night, and Amana, you heard the whole thing.
すみません。今のなしで。
あれ？なんで？
いえ、なんでもないです。気にしないでください。
なーに？私が気になっちゃう。
ごめんなさい、のんでり発言でした。今のなしで。
そう？まあいいわ。察しはついたし。話を戻すと。
戻さなくていいんですけど。
違うわよ。スレイのことを知りたいって話。
そっちか。忘れた。
私たち抜きで宵の監視者と話したがっているのもそれが理由？
そんな仲間外れにしたみたいな言い方。
あら、違うの？
あの子と話したいとは思ってるけど、捕まえるのが先ってちゃんと考えてるよ。かぐやちゃんもいたら警戒心マックスになるでしょ？お姫様なんだし。無用な争いを避けられるならそうした方がいいよねって思っただけ。
素直に降伏してくれるって考えてるんですか？
ありえなくもないかなーって。
楽観的すぎません？
そうなんだけど、でもさ、わざわざ昨日会いに来たってことはあっちも対話を望んでいるわけでしょ？交渉の余地はあるんだし、 最初からそれを切り捨てちゃうのもなーって。
トラックを突っ込ませるような人だし、こっちの常識が通じるとは思えないですけど。
心配してくれてるの？いやー、嬉しい。
ちょっと、こっちの布団入ってこないでくださいよ。
Especially since you still smell like Riku a bit.
リクも一緒だし、ノアもいる。よほどのことがない限り問題ないとは思うけれど。
軽率なことはしないように気をつける。見た目は普通の女の子だったけど、あまねちゃんの言う通り、人を殺せるんだよね、あの子。私の常識は通用しない。
国内にそんな連中の潜伏を許していたとなると、私としても由々しき問題ね。
She's as trained as a killer whose only magic we've seen is a curse of bad luck.
これを機に一掃せねばなりませんね。そのような不穏分子は。姫様に立てつく愚か者め。ただでは済まさん。
いや、怖い怖い。おりえちゃん怖い。
失礼。内なる怒りが少々漏れてしまいました。
今ので少々。
大変だね。二つの世界で次々とトラブルが起こって。
得難い経験ではあるわね。今回の件は人命がかかっているし、楽しんでばかりいられないのが残念だけれど。それと、いつかあなたたちともお別れしなければならないと考えると寂しいわね。
かぐやちゃん、朝まで語り明かして友情育も
うぜ。いえ、寝てください。明日に差し障ります。
はい、すみません。
夜は長いし、もう少しくらい構わないでしょ。姫様がそうおっしゃるのなら。
ねえねえ、あまねちゃんって好きな人いるの？
You know, other than Riku.
何ですか急に。
恋話しようぜ、恋バナ。
嫌ですよ。しません。
しようぜ。
しません。
じゃあ、おりえちゃんは好きな人いる？
はい。
Other than Kaguya.
この場ではあまりにも恐れ多いので。
誰か分かったので大丈夫です。
もう折り合ったら。
自分だと確信してるかぐやさんもすごいな。
で、あまねちゃんは？
何がでですか？いませんよ。
照れずに言おうよ。
だからいませんって。
いいえよ。
いませんってば。もう。
Classic slumber party.
天使創造リブート。どうも、おはようございます。
I think they might have stayed up a bit too late. It's the middle of the day. I meet up with Kurumi in front of the station. We're supposed to start searching for the watchdog of Twilight, but I'm looking at someone who is clearly not fully awake.
すみません、寝坊してしまい。
It's fine. We never set a timer anyway.
にしても、ちょっと気を抜きすぎというか。
Yeah, and whose fault is that? Better than you being too tense, honestly.
みっくん、私のダメなところ全肯定しがちだから、だよねって思っちゃうと危険だ。
She mutters before clapping both of her cheeks.
よし、 気合い入れていかないとね。
Look, I understand that this game... I can't even use the excuse that this game was localized, you know, at a time where clapping cheeks wasn't really a slang for sex, but I could guarantee you that that was that was a thing back when this was translated, so never mind. Kaguya finished conferring magic into a hairpin, right?
準備 OK。 あ、そうだ。起きたらもうあまねちゃんいなかったんだけど。
She came straight home and told me you were out cold.
いや、ほんとごめん。やらかした。
You guys went to bed pretty early, right? Did you have trouble getting to sleep?
まあね。いろいろ考えちゃって目が冴えちゃって。寝坊したんで、睡眠時間はいつもより長いくらいですが。
How are you feeling?
バッチリです。
You sure? That's great. But remember, we don't have to get this done today. We're in no rush. Kurumi nods and takes a hairpin out of her bag.
りっくん持っててくれる？
Sure, but why?
変身すると服装とかも変わっちゃうじゃん。今つけると効果なくなりそう。
That's a fair point. But at the same time, how do you know that the hairpin is going to is going to vanish when it's when you're holding it? Right? When it's on her body, right, that's technically a part of her. But if she's holding like a cup of water and then transmigrates and then like walks a meter away from the cup of water and then transmigrates back into being Kurumi, where does the cup of water end up? Is it in the same position as it was when she transmigrated, or is it still in her hand? The implications there are, you know, I don't think we should get into that. Oh, good point. I take the hairpin from her.
さてと、人目につかないところあるかな。
We probably should have met up with Kaguya instead. At Kaguya's instead. Want to go to one of the bathrooms in the station?
りっくん、こっち。
She starts to walk off, so I follow her. We reach a building's entrance, and then she goes and stands behind one of the pillars.
りっくん、そこにいてね。
Okay. I position myself to block her from any onlookers. It's not perfect, but it should be good enough.
変身したらすぐ渡してね。さって。
Gotcha.
よーし。
Kurumi shuts her eyes and transforms. Immediately after, I hand over the hairpin. She wastes no point in putting it on, then sighs in relief.
これでがっつり見えてたら赤面者なんだけど。
Don't worry. I've been out with Kaguya in her full getup before, and no one notices her.
信じますよ、かぐやちゃん。
She prays to her before emerging from behind the pillar. Nervously, she glances around, but not a single person around us pays any attention to her.
おお、すっごい。誰も私のこと見ない。
It seems like it's working.
これで探 に集中できるね。
Want to get it up? Want to get to it?
ノアちゃんは待たなくて大丈夫？
She's already here. I say while pointing up to the sky. She didn't want to come with us in case she tipped the assassin off.
ああ、そっかそっか。
Kogi and Orie are on standby at their place, right?
何かあったらすぐ呼んでって。
Alrighty then.
始めよ
We're trying to find the assassin by tracing her manor, but we don't know where she's been, so we're just going to have to wander around until we get a lead. Figuring that where I first got cursed would be would be as good a starting place as any. We head over to the Starbucks. You got anything?
う。ないね。何も。
Guess she's not coming here for a coffee on her way back to work then.
数時間前までここにいましたくらいの場所じゃないと痕跡消えちゃってるかも。
In that case, let's walk around, then come back here.
あ、そっか。あの子、私たちを監視してるよね。きっと。今も後をつけていたりするなら、一度調べた場所に痕跡を残すかも。
Exactly. It'd be stumbling around randomly in any case.
みっくん天才。さなんで行こう。
We leave the Starbucks and follow our usual date schedule. First, we take the road to the park. Nothing of note here. Then we reach the park. Nothing here either. Finally, we try a different route back toward the station. Unfortunately, we turn up empty-handed once more.
なかなか簡単に尻尾をつかませてくれませんね。
Just how far out can you sense matter in that form anyway?
どうだろう。目に見える範囲くらいなら感知できそう？人が多い場所はちょっとやりにくいけどね。ノイズがいっぱい。
Probably should have worried about that this sooner, but I'm not adding to that interference, am I?
それは大丈夫。りっくんのマナがどんな感じかはよく知ってるし。歩いてる人とかのマナは知らないから、未知の情報がいっぱい入ってきて、整理するのが大変って感じ。
Wish there was something I could do to help.
いいのいいの。一緒にいてくれるだけで心強いし。まあでもあれですね。
ん？
結構経ったけど全然慣れないね。
Oh, being in that form, you mean?
誰も気にしてないって分かってるんだけど恥ずかしすぎる。
Man, I should have transformed into Diablo too.
よし、なろうか。
You sure? I'll do it as long as you give me your hairpin.
無理！私が社会的な死を迎える！
Well, me neither.
正論。
Despite her smile being as radiant as always, there's a gravity hiding in her eyes. She's keeping her senses sharp, so as to not let any potential signs evade her grasp. We finish our lap by arriving back at the station. Yeah, okay, that works. Whereupon we revisit the Starbucks from earlier. Kurumi stands with her arms crossed, frowning. She's not having much luck from the looks of it. but I'm immediately proven wrong.
あからさまだな。
Huh?
見つけた痕跡。
By all rights, Kurumi should be delighted, but there's certainly no joy in her expression right now.
あっちに続いてるね。これ見よがしって感じ。私たちが戻ってくること分かってて、わざと残したみたいな。
Well, we may as well fall for it. You think she's asking us to follow her?
よく考えれば、あの子も私たちと話したがっている。
I guess not fall for it, but more go along with it. Worst case, it's a trap.
どうする？
Yeah, she might give me even more bad luck. Oh no. Do you even need to ask? That she might be telling us to follow her into a construction site.
だよね。
We follow the mana trail. Heading down the road to the park and then into the park itself. At this point, I'm not sure she's following us as much as...
完全に喧嘩売ってない？
It sure feels that way. She definitely left this trail on purpose.
お前たちは自分の手のひらの上だって誇示してるみたい。対話で済むかもって考え、捨てた方がいいかも。
We should keep our guard up, but I don't want to shut out any possibilities just yet. Ideally, we'll be able to resolve this peacefully.
まあ、ね。
Where does it lead next?
こっち。
We leave the park and continue on. Now it feels less like she's trying to piss us off.
遊ばれてる。
Exactly. We've been led in a complete loop. She played us like a fiddle. Now I get why Noah was so frustrated. This is just plain irritating.
ちょっと待って。
Kurumi stops in her tracks. What's wrong?
駅前に戻るんだろうなって思ってたけど、それたね。
I doubt you just decided to stop following us.
こっちに来いってわけね。
I guess it's finally time to meet my would-be assassin.
ぽいね。あんまり空見ない方がいいか。
Looking for Noah?
一応伝えとこうと思って。ノアちゃんのマナーは、見て。ギリギリ届くかな。
She approaches the edge of the road and shuts her eyes. Looks like she's using telepathy.
届いた。りっくんもご招待。
Link you in.
手がかりを掴んだみたいだね。
Whoa. Noah's voice echoes inside my mind. I can't even see her. When did you learn how to use telepathy long distance, Kurumi?
コツをつかみまして。てか、普通に喋ってもノアちゃんに聞こえないから。
That's your fucking catchphrase, isn't it? I just got the hang of it, you know. I was told by Kaguya how to do it, and I just learned. I was just able to do it instantly. Oh, whoops.
あれ？りっくん聞こえてる？
Yeah, I forgot how this works for a sec. I can hear you fine.
多分すぐ近くにいると思う。あの子。了解した。発見次第すぐに拘束しよう。待って。呼ぶまで待ってもらってもいいかな。
Yeah, she's too cute to be sent back to her world.
そうだった。
What?
対話がしたいんだったね。ごめんね。甘いとは思うんだけど。平和的解決を求めるのは間違っていないよ。危険な気配を感じたらすぐに呼んで。
Don't worry, we will.
見るからにやべえって雰囲気になったら ノアちゃんの判断で突入しちゃってください。
わかった。二人とも油断しないでね。
We will. Our telepathic conversation ends and Kurumi sighs.
念のため、ノアちゃんに繋いだままにしておこうかな。
Is that not going to be too much for you to handle?
これくらいは平気。さてと。
Kurumi's eyes narrow as she looks down the road.
行こっか。
Yeah. Who knows what's waiting for us out there? But whatever comes our way, I will protect Kurumi. That I swear. You don't say. Maybe the monochrome background will give it away. Yeah. It's only natural that there'd be fewer people here than at the station. What's not natural, however, is the lack of even a single person. Not to mention, I can't really describe it, but like, does the air feel strange to you?
うん。私も感じてる。ちょっと、変なところに誘い込まれちゃったかな。
Yeah, here Noah can't enter, I guess.
さすが、スレイ様です。
From close by comes the sound of an innocent young girl. She appears soon afterward, likely having been hiding herself all this time. From what Kurumi had said, I imagine the girl would only be a year or two younger than us at most. But she's far, far younger than that. Okay, she looks younger than that. But she's fucking part of the Watchdogs of Twilight, so she's probably over 100 years old. Like every good lolly. This girl is the Watchdog of Twilight, the assassin after my life.
ここは私の場所です。他の者に邪魔をされることはありませんので、ゆっくりとお話できます。
Yeah, especially not any angels.
私たち以外は入ってこられないってこと？
はい。私が招待した者以外は。申し訳ありませんが、お連れの方は締め出させていただきました。
So she did know about Noah after all. Yeah, no shit. That's why she lured her away the first time. Perhaps she excels at sensing manner, just like Kurumi does. Maybe she was taught by Slay how to do it. However...
見くびられているね。もう中にいるんだけど。
ノアちゃんは、そのまま気配を殺してもらっていいかな？
了解。ひとまずは様子を見るよ。
ありがとう。りっくんも動かないでね。一歩も動いちゃダメ。
Got it. I do wonder why she'd explicitly tell me not to take a step, but for now I decide to do as I'm asked.
ゆっくりお話できるって言ったけど、交渉の余地はあるって思っていい？
交渉ですか？
りっくんを諦めてほしいっていうのと、できればおとなしく捕まってほしいなってこと。
不可解です。
何が？
私はあなた様に呼ばれてここに来たのです。にもかかわらず、諦めろとおっしゃる。とても不可解です。とても。
それ、前も言ってたけど。
What's your goal here? To kill me?
黙れ魔王。貴様と語る言葉など持ち合わせていない。
My question is met with sheer hostility. So Kurumi asks in my stead, taking on a more forceful tone.
あなたの目的は何？
魔王を封じることです。
Why do you want to seal me?
黙れと言ったぞ魔王。耳が腐る。
なぜ、りっくんを封じたいの？
世界に良い闇をもたらす存在だからです。
This girl's being as sharp-tongued as possible to me, but as courteous as can be to Kurumi. Yeah, but clearly she doesn't understand who Diablo is to Slay. She must hold Kurumi, or rather Slay, in some special regard.
聞きたいこといっぱいあるんだけど。
なんなりと。
まず、あなたの名前を聞いていい？宵の監視者は名前じゃなくて組織名とかだよね。
ベガと申します。
Of course.
ありがとう。ベガちゃんね。私はくるみ。スレイじゃなくてくるみ。小ひばりくるみ。
それが今世でのお名前ですね。失礼しました、くるみ様。
どうあっても様はついちゃうのか。
Kurumi's brow furrows. I was right. She holds Slay in high regard.
まあいいや。次の質問。
はい。
良い闇をもたらすっていうのは、世界に混乱を呼ぶとか、そういう解釈でいい？
はい。世界の安寧を保つ。それが我々宵の監視者が受け継いできたスレイ様の、失礼。くるみ様の理想であり、使命です。
そんな理想知らんが。我々って、宵の監視者はたくさんいるの？
かつては。今となっては我が一族だけです。
他に、こっちの世界に来ている人は？
私だけです。
りっくんを、魔王を封印するのがあなたの任務？
はい。
Vega gives an immediate response to each and every one of Kurumi's questions. She makes no attempt to hide the truth. Each answer is frank and to the point. Her gaze is locked so intently on Kurumi that it's almost as if she's not acknowledging my existence. And in her eyes, I see something close to admiration. It's a gaze that seems to be making Kurumi feel uncomfortable.
スレイの理想って、何？
それを、ご本人であるあなた様にお話しするのですか？
私はくるみであって、スレイじゃない。
ああ、なるほど。合点がいきました。まだ完全ではないのですね。それゆえに、不可解な行動をとっていらっしゃる。
Well, excuse me if Kurumi... If Slay only lets Kurumi see the memories of her complaining about Diablo giving her more work. Yep.
不可解不可解って、私のどこが不可解なの？
魔王と共にいらっしゃることです。
それのどこがおかしいの？仮に私がスレイそのものだったとしても、魔王の側近だったんだから、一緒にいるのは当たり前。
当たり前ではありません。憎むべき魔王を撃ったのは、あなた様ですよ。
Damn. And who told you that one?
はい？
Kurumi and I look at each other, taken aback. We had witnessed Diablo himself confiding in Slay regarding his decision. Because of that, we knew that he'd chosen to try and end the war with his own death. So then, Slay was the one who slew Diablo, or was forced to. Okay. Let me just boil it. Let me just break it down for you. Even if you didn't play through Noah's route before this, right? Because if you've played through Noah's route, you know exactly who killed Diablo, and that would be Noah. Even Noah knows that she killed Diablo, even if she isn't going to admit it. Maybe she won't admit it in this route, and you're going to have to find out in her route. But even if this was a possibility that Slay killed Diablo, how would that end the war? Because what you need to understand is the only reason that war started in the first place is because demons were being essentially persecuted by humans. So, how could the war end by having a demon kill Diablo? Right? The only reason Noah killing Diablo, or I guess the Valkyrie killing Diablo, was so effective was because she is not a demon, and she isn't even she isn't a human either, right? She was essentially just given the role of an angel and was worshipped as you know, the fucking savior of humanity or whatever the fuck. It's kind of, you know, it's been a while since I've played through Noah's Route, so I don't really remember all of the bits of information. But this, look, I understand, right? For a plot point as pivotal as Diablo's death, right? Surely they wouldn't change who killed Diablo in a different route, right? So obviously they're going to set it up to be like, you're wrong, Vega. Slay and Diablo weren't, you know, Slay didn't kill Diablo, but it's more of the fact that she believes that Slay would kill Diablo and not understand that that even if she did do that, right? Even if Slay killed Diablo, it would not lead to the conclusion that it did, right? It would not lead to the conclusion of essentially the war ending, you know, humans and demons, quote unquote, coming together, even though they're still being, you know, fucking, they're being treated as second class citizens by humans because of what happened with Diablo and stuff, right? Look, it's not as bad as what happened with Germany after World War One, but demons aren't really put in a good light. They're put in a better light compared to what happened, what they were in before the war, but, you know.
暴君である魔王は血に飢えていました。いたずらに戦線を拡大し、多くの死を振りまきました。多くの民が死んでいくことに胸を痛めたあなた様は、ついに魔王を討つことを決断されたのです。革命軍を率い、あなた様は戦いました。そして見事、悪しき魔王を打ち果たしたのです。
Kurumi and I look at each other again. This just isn't right. Diablo would had asked Slay to make the people believe he was a fool of a king, so that there'd be no desire for revenge amongst the populace. We saw as much in their memories. A fabricated story about the evil tyrant being defeated would match up with that well enough on its own. But a revolutionary army led by Slay herself, that sounds more like an epic painting. An epic painting her to be the hero. It's simply unimaginable that Slay would, with how shaken up she was by Diablo's decision, would weave the story to paint herself in such a light. At that point, I'm reminded of what Aurier told us. How the memories written by the supposed founder of the Watchdogs of Twilight sounded particularly fictitious. What if, in truth, there wasn't a shred of truth to them? And this girl, believing in that, in the warped depiction of Slay and her deeds, came to admire her for them.
ものすごく誤解があるようだけど、それ全部間違ってるよって言ったら信じてくれる？
Calling it a misunderstanding is an understatement of the century. She was gaslit into believing Slay would kill Diablo, and is being led to believe that even in the circumstance of that being, even in the scenario of that being true, that it led to what their world is now, right? It led to the, you know, it, yeah, sure, I guess.
まだ前世の記憶が全て戻っていらっしゃらないようですから、くるみ様は混乱しているのでしょう。
こりゃ話通じないかも。
Kurumi mutters, I'm in complete agreement. It's difficult to convince someone by saying, actually, you're completely wrong and I'm right, even if you happen to have witnessed the exact events as they happened through memories of your past life.
もう一つだけ聞きたいんだけど。
なんなりと。
私に呼ばれたって言ってたよね。
はい。
それ、どういうこと？
そのままの意味ですが。
私は呼んでないよ。
ですが、我々は確かに受け取りました。あなた様からの意思を。
意思？
我が一族に代々伝わる宝剣。かつてあなた様が振るっていた剣がある日淡く輝いたのです。その光はあなた様の意志、魔王を封印せんとする強い意志です。剣にはあなた様のマナがかすかに宿っています。そのマナがあなた様の強い意志に共鳴したのです。それを我々はあなた様からの導きと考え、共鳴を利用しこの世界へとやってきたのです。
Right. So, damn. This girl's retarded.
いや、全然そんなことしてないんだけど、封印とか考えたことないし。
She's idealizing a false depiction of Slay.
ですが、確かに届きました。魔王の力を懸命に抑えようとしているあなた様の意志が。
Damn, I can't wait to witness her. I can't wait to see how she'll react to finding out that none of this is true.
抑えようって。あ。
The realization sets in. It has to be that time we were testing if transforming into Diablo would help me get an erection again. Kurumi's desire to suppress my powers was so strong that it crossed between worlds to reach Vega. At which point, the girl liberally interpreted that to be a call to join the fight against Diablo, so came to this world to assassinate me. There's a difference between stealing his powers and killing him. Alright? Here's the thing, right? Even if Riku dies, that just transfers Diablo's reincarnation to a different person, right? That's not really a good way of saying it, but if Diablo has reincarnated once before, who's to say he's not going to be able to do it again? So, killing Diablo is going to backfire. So sealing his powers, that will work. That would lead to the I guess outcome that they want, or they think they want. Wait, then all of this has happened because we were trying to cure my erectile dysfunction. That's what led to me being that's what led to me being tormented by bad luck and Kurumi almost losing her life. That's absurd. It's ridiculous beyond words.
酔いの監視者誕生はスレイのせいだし、リックンが狙われたのは私のせいだし、最悪じゃん!
Hey, it's not your fault, Kurumi. If anything, it's my fault for almost letting my powers get out of control.
何度言わせる。口を開くな魔王。貴様の正気でくるみ様の吸う空気が汚れる。
Yeah, your toxic masculinity is corrupting Lady Kurumi. Now I can't even speak to Kurumi. This little kid is pissing me off.
悪いけど、全部勘違い。あれは魔王を封印しようとしていたんじゃない。リックンを助けようとしてただけ。
Well, you kinda did, but not in that way. You didn't want to completely seal his powers off. You just needed to prevent him from going out of control.
誤解させちゃってごめんだけど、そういうわけだから、魔王封印は諦めて帰ってほし
い。やはり不可解です。
Look, I understand that anyone who's had their worldview shattered would not be able to comprehend it, but especially in your case, it had to happen eventually.
また出た不可解。
Or, I guess, has to happen eventually, because she's not really been proven wrong. You know, her reasoning to believe that what she has been, how would I say, you know, the reason why she doesn't believe what Kurumi is saying, or about how all of that is fucking made up and bullshit and stuff like that, is because Kurumi doesn't have all of Slay's memories. And that was evident when she didn't know who Vega was. She didn't know anything about the Watchdogs of Twilight, or I guess anything that isn't surface level. And there was that other thing, right? What was it? Should be around here. Something. Before that. Okay, it's somewhere in there. I can't fucking find it. Thanks for the hydrate. And the stretch. And fuck off. And fuck you.
「あなた様が魔王と親しくしているのは魔王を油断させるためだと思っていました。あなた様は私を助けてくださると信じていました。しかしあなた様はいつも真逆のことをする。私の策はなりました。魔王はマナを使い果たし弱っていました。
Kind of? Here's the thing. Sure, I guess you could say Diablo weakened himself when he prevented that oil tanker from well, not exploding. It exploded, but preventing the explosion from, harming anyone. But the thing is, Diablo's mana pool is so big that the only reason you would see that the only way you would, think that he's quote unquote weakened himself is, well, one, Riku can't access the whole pool, and two, he doesn't really have much control over the mana until after that incident. I guess I shouldn't have said and two, comma, and three, he's suppressing his mana quite a bit. So that's what the truck was for.
あとは魔王を封印するだけでした。ですが、あなた様はあろうことか魔王にマナを分け与えた。
Oh, you were watching that? Shit. Listen, Vega. You might be a bit too young for this to know about this, but I guess it's time for you to learn about the birds and the bees. Wait, you did?
疲れてたからちょっとだけ。
Oh wait, she did it before they fucked, so that he was able to do it with her without getting exhausted. That would explain where my second wind came from. Never mind. They did a okay. My first thought was correct. She gave him mana during sex, but I hadn't even realized. There I was, completely fixated on what was in front of me, while Kurumi was still worried about me.
魔王封印の木を逸しました。とても不可解な行動です。
Okay, Vega, I think you still need to understand there is a very big difference between killing Diablo and sealing him. Because one potentially prevents his reincarnation, and the other guarantees it.
ですので、不敬を承知で、くるみ様の真意をお伺いしたかったのです。
ね、私の部屋に来たと。
はい。なぜです。なぜ私ではなく、魔王を助けるのですか？
Well, other than because we don't know who the fuck you are, you also don't have a good understanding of who Slay actually is and what her ideals actually were and how much she actually liked Diablo.
そんなの決まってるじゃん。大事な人が苦しんでいるなら当然助けるよ。見殺しになんてするはずがない。
大事な人？
そう。私の恋人。
A sliver of confusion finally shows on Vega's constantly fixed expression. At last, for a moment, before she goes back to her robotic mannerisms.
やはり、まだ不完全なご様子。その男を殺せば、目を覚ましていただけるでしょうか。
本気で言ってる？
私はいつでも本気です。
そう。
Kurumi sighs.
説得できればって思っていたけど、あくまでもりっくんの命を狙うのなら、私はあなたと戦うしかない。
Kurumi sweeps her cloak behind her and stands defiantly before Vega, only to quickly sigh and shrug her shoulders.
なんて、そうやって煽るのも作戦でしょ？ おしゃべりに付き合ってくれているのも、待っているから。あたしたちが、罠にかかるのを。
Vega's eyebrows twitch. What trap?
そこら中に魔法のトラップが仕掛けてある。近づいたり踏んだりしたら、ドンって、なるんじゃないかな。
You mean a landmine? It's just a fucking magic landmine, bro. Really? So that's why she told me not to take a step forward. Vega had set a trap for us, and it was simply waiting for us to fall for it.
さすがです、くるみ様。天眼のお力は衰えていないようですね。
天眼？おお、なんでもお見通しですよ。
しかし、どうされますか？たっぷりと時間を稼がせていただいたので、十分すぎるほどの罠を張ることができました。
Well... listen, Kurumi, I know you don't know what the Heavenly Eye is, but if I can infer from the name, it would mean that you can, I guess, see the mana, right? So you would be able to see where all of the traps are and prevent Riku from stepping on any of them.
もう一度、始めさせていただきます。ゆっくりと、じっくりと、いたぶり、弱らせ。今度こそ、封印させていただきます。血に飢えた、下劣なる魔王を。
Well, you're not going to do that by killing him. The trap has been revealed, but we have no means of doing anything about it. Vega still has us right where she wants us. But since she's resorted to showing herself and leading us here, that means her back is right up against the wall too. There's a final gambit on which she's wagered it all. Get through this and we win. There's no getting out of this without us fighting, is there?
そのために、私はこの世界にやってきた。
Finally feel like talking to me, huh? A wry smile forms on my face. My mind remains calm, and so does my heart. It wasn't so long ago that I would have been helpless here. But not anymore. No longer am I that pathetic man. No longer will I wait for others to save me. I reach out for the flames within and unleash my powers. While I'd struggle to say I have complete control over them, I have enough.
正体を表したな、魔王。
Kurumi. Tell me where the traps are. All of them.
わかった。
She starts telepathically relaying the information to me without questioning why. Damn, there's barely room to stand here. If she hadn't warned me ahead of time, I would have been blown to smithereens. I'm sure you would have survived one of them, at least. I don't like this. It's time someone cleaned up in here. Kurumi. This time, we don't have telepathy to know what the other is thinking. I gather mana in my fists. And slam it into the ground. A thundering roar crashes forward. The mana surges through the traps Vega had laid, destroying every last one of them without leaving even a trace.
なんという力技。
Kurumi removes the shield she had erected to defend against the shockwaves and sighs. I might not have the best accuracy, but in terms of raw power, I can't be beat. Especially when there's so much mana around. What now? All your traps are gone. You have nowhere left to hide. Vega looks shocked. She can't have been expecting this.
なんという常識外れな。
Is it though? I mean, look, I understand that you know, I understand that you wouldn't expect Riku to have as much control as he does over his mana, but it is because of what you did with the truck that allowed him to get this strong. Just surrender. I don't want to fight you.
望んでいない。
Hatred once again supersedes the surprise in her eyes.
そのような大それた力を振りかざし、争いなど望んでいないだと。
The better question should be, you have power so destructive, and yet you were killed so easily by the supposed slay that you idealize.
魔王。やはり貴様は闇そのものだ。混乱の種となりうる存在だ。お前の存在そのものが悪だ。混沌そのものだ。封じなければならない。世界の安寧のために貴様を。
Once again, you say your world, or I guess our world, but she means her world. But Diablo's in this world, you know, so is there really, is there really a threat to your world?
この命に変えても。
りっくんダメだ。この子話が通じない。価値観がまるで違うんだ。私たちと戦うしかないよ、もう。ノアちゃんにも来てもらおう。りっくん
Give me a moment.
りっ
I transform back to normal. Vega would pose little trouble for me with Diablo's strength in my arsenal. It would be much like sweating a fly. But that just wouldn't be right. It wouldn't really solve anything. Let's talk about this, Vega. Again. Your comments about my power got me thinking. You were right. I was trying to use this power of mine to force you into obeying me. I displayed myself as a threat to you. You were never going to back down, not when you feel so strongly about sealing Diablo. The former Diablo, he could only create his future by fighting. He fought to protect his people, and only through dying on the battlefield did he win. Did he win the peace he'd wanted all along. Such were the times he lived in. Fighting wasn't a choice for him, but a necessity. But I'm different. I'm not Diablo Allion. I'm just Tanikaze Riku, a normal guy. You know, a human, just like the rest of the humans around him. So he wasn't persecuted by said humans because he was a demon. It's a different era, a different world. I won't choose to fight. So why don't we just talk this through? Why don't we just talk this through, Vega, until we both come to an understanding? You know, until your worldview is shattered by finding out that Slay didn't actually kill Diablo.
何をたわけたことを。
Sure, it may seem that way, but why not give it a shot before trying to throw your life away? I smile at her and sit down on the ground. Kurumi giggles before transforming back to normal and sitting next to me. Vega's evidently flustered. It turns out she's not as tough as the persona she puts on. It's actually quite amusing. Yeah, same with any quote-unquote threatening lolly character. Come here, let's talk.
リク
Noah's panicked voice echoes in my mind.
気をつけて。いくらなんでも無防備すぎる。
Yeah, that's the point. I know, but you're going to have to give me this.
もしもの時は合図を待たずに飛び出すからね。
Thanks. I'm not going to do anything. Hell, I can't do anything in this form.
おいでベガちゃん。こっちこっち。
Though confused, she abides by Kurumi's instructions, seeking over to us with all the wariness of a stray cat before sitting down a little distance away. She really can't say no to Kurumi, huh? That's equally as amusing. Great. Now let's talk.
貴様と話すことなど特にないが。
Well, that won't do. I need you to understand that I'm not a threat to the world. Let's say, after we've talked this through, if you still think I'm a threat, then I'll allow you to go after me again. Not that I won't fight back, mind you. Okay then. So your goal wasn't to kill me, but to seal me?
殺しても貴様は転生する。何十年後か何百年後か。いずれまた貴様は争いを生む。
Okay, so she is aware that killing Diablo would do nothing. So Riku was wrong in thinking that Vega is trying to quote-unquote assassinate Diablo. Right.
封じるしかない。二度と転生できないように。
Out of curiosity, how are you planning to seal me?
手の内を明かすと思うか。
Well, clearly the methods you've been using haven't really worked. Fair point.
どうやって封じるの？
You know, you used that truck method and Kurumi gave him some powers after he protected her to make that force field so that the truck explosion didn't kill anyone or harm anyone. And then now you send them to this fucking this world, I guess, to get Riku to step on a magical landmine, and that didn't work. So what is Plan C?
再び魔王のような暴君が現れた時に備え、我が一族は様々な魔法を編み出してきました。
Or no, this would be Plan C. Plan B was the truck. Plan A is the bad luck stuff. So much for not revealing those methods.
はいはい、ニックンツッコミはなし。魔王やスレイが転生するって想定してたの？
いいえ、想定外です。我々の力では殺せぬような存在が現れた時に使用する想定でした。
What happens to the person you seal? Oh, come on. This isn't much of a conversation if you're only speaking to one of us.
仮死状態に近い。いずれ肉体が滅び、魂だけが牢獄に囚われる。その後、魂を滅する。だが、魔王はそのままだ。転生させないために、永遠に牢獄の中にいてもらう。
Oh, that's a shame. I would have been all for it if you only wanted to seal my powers.
どういうことだ？
I didn't ask for these powers, and they've been causing me and Kurumi more than our fair share of troubles. Yeah, you as an example. Also, you were right when you said that this power is the seed of conflict. That's exactly what it is. Another guy would come over from your world. Another guy came over from your world before you did. His goal was to take my powers for himself. A bunch of my friends ended up getting caught up in it, and we went through all sorts of danger. They managed to protect me in the end, but if he had gotten hold of my powers, then it would have been bad news for your world, I imagine.
やはり封じるべきだ。お前という存在そのものを。
After what I've heard, I struggle to disagree with you.
リック？
Kurumi panics, but I smile to tell her it's okay. Kagi is helping keep things safe for now, but who knows when something else could happen. And even if it doesn't, I'm going to die someday. This might start all over again, whenever I reincarnate next. This power and the conflict it generates, it'll keep coming back for as long as Diablo is allowed to exist. you're determined to see him sealed away, and I think that's probably the correct choice.
存外物分かりがいい。覚悟を決めたか？
Not at all. I have no intention of letting myself be sealed.
封じられた方がいいと、そう言ったではないか。
Logically, it makes sense, sure. But personally, I don't want that.
大きな犠牲が出るぞ。貴様が生きている限り。
You say that, but what about you? Do you know how many innocent people almost died from your attempts to get me?
大きな犠牲を防ぐために、小さな犠牲を払うこともある。
That's a very conceited way of thinking.
大義のためだ。世界の安寧を保つ。それが宵の監視者の使命だ。
And who gave you that duty?
スレイ様だ。
悪いけど、ベガちゃんの思い描くスレイ、実物からかなり離れてると思うよ。
そんなはずはありません。あなた様がまだ覚醒しきれていないだけです。
I told you she's coping with the fact that Kurumi doesn't have all of Slay's memories.
だいたい素直に聞いてくれるのに、ここだけは堅くなだな。
None of those people you'd sacrifice would get to enjoy your world peace, Vega.
何？
Am I wrong? You were willing to kill a whole bunch of people all for the sake of the greater good. All of them innocent, all of them with lives ahead of them, gone for no reason they could hope to comprehend. It sure sounds like you're the evil demon from their point of view. It doesn't help with the horns and all. Doesn't help with the horns and all.
世界の安寧のために小さな犠牲を払うこともある。
See, this is why Vega's stupid, because she doesn't realize that this is, well, let's just say, potentially the same mentality that Diablo had when he started the war, right? Even though, obviously, we know that this isn't this isn't what his thought, this wasn't his philosophy. Vega doesn't know that, yet she still doesn't realize that her worldview of Diablo is that this is what he thought. That's a bad way of explaining it. Her conviction wavering, she simply repeats her previous point, which hardly constitutes an argument against mine. She sounds like she's on the point of breaking. Only there's no point in simply winning the verbal argument here.
ベガちゃん、
はい。
無関係な人がって言われたとき、ちょっと詰まったよね。今もすごくうろたえてた。本当はベガちゃんも嫌だったんじゃないの？ああいうやり方するの。
私が嫌かどうかは問題ではありません。犠牲を厭わず、大いなる災いを封じる。
Yeah, and who taught you that one? Because considering the fact that Slay died, someone would have had to take over the role as leader of the Watchdogs of Twilight. And let's just say I don't think the idealized version of Slay that they've taught that person taught you about is the correct one.
それが宵の監視者として果たすべき私の使命です。
あの時のりっくんを見てどう思った？
はい。
大いなる災いをもたらすはずの力で、りっくんは私たちを守ってくれたよ。命を懸けて必死に守ってくれた。その姿を見てどう思った？ ずっと私たちのことも見てたんだよね。どう思った？本当にりっくんは邪悪な存在だった？
Vega doesn't answer. It feels like if she were to answer her, all the pillars that have been holding her up will give out beneath her. I think we might just be able to get through to her. Choosing to talk things out was the right decision after all. As I told you earlier, I didn't ask for these powers. I'd get rid of them if I could. But I can't. I'll have to deal with these powers of my own, of mine for the rest of my life. Diablo chose death, determining that it was the only way to put a stop to the fighting. Some people would say that I should do the same, to prevent a calamity that may or may not even happen. But I'm not going to sacrifice myself based on the off chance. I'm not Diablo Alion. I'm Tanikaze Riku, and I'll make my own choices. And I'm going to live my life, spending it with Kurumi, the girl I love. I know it's not that easy for you to trust me. So what do you say to keep watching over me and see how I live my life? If those powers end up getting the better of me, then I'll give you permission to seal me away. Let's just stop with all this fighting. There's no need for any sacrifices. No one has to die. What do you say?
もう私に選択肢は残されていない。元より魔王にかなうとは思っていなかった。だから絡め手で貴様を弱らせた。
You know, unfortunately, they haven't. Unfortunately, Vega's worldview hasn't completely shattered. There are cracks, but we didn't push hard enough for it to completely crumble.
すべての策はならなかった。私は失敗した。
I think it would be pretty easy for you to seal or even kill me right now. But if protecting the peace really is your mission, then just give me a while. Watch over me as I enjoy my peace. Maybe, you don't have to watch me 24/7, right? There will be times where I would prefer the privacy, but other than that, you can keep watching over me.
魔王の姉。
Vega mutters before staring at the ground in silence for a while. I'm hoping this means my words have reached her. By the time she looks back up, all the hesitation is gone from her eyes.
世界の安寧を保つために時には小さな犠牲を払う必要がある。その考えが間違っているとは思わない。
You sure about that?
貴様という脅威を封じるために私は必要なことをした。
Look, it's one thing that the sacrifices you are
バックログ画面だ。
making, I guess, the small sacrifices, as in killing people, right? It's one thing if those sacrifices are people who are getting in the way of you ensuring world peace, but if it's innocent people, there's a bit of a flaw in your argument. There's a bit of a flaw in your philosophy.
それが罪であるというのなら私は裁きを受ける。それが道理だろう。いくら言葉を交わそうと私が揺らぐことはない。
A fire burns in her eyes as she stares into mine. It was always going to end this way, I suppose. If you could change someone's mind simply by talking to them for a few minutes, then world peace wouldn't be such a lofty goal to begin with.
しかし
And yet, it still seems as though my words have had an effect on her.
貴様もこの世界に生きる一人の人間であるという視点が欠けていたのは事実だ。貴様の存在自体が脅威であることは変わらない。だからといって一方的に貴様の安寧を奪うのは道理に合わないのかもしれない。
ありがとう、ペガちゃん。分かってくれて。
先ほども申しましたが、私にはもう打つ手がないのです。魔王自らが封印を望むというのであれば、たとえその場しのぎの虚言であったとしても乗るしかないのです。
I'm not lying, but I wouldn't say I'm happy to be sealed either. Only if I become a horror you're afraid of.
私は監視者だ。見ているぞ魔王。貴様が闇に落ちたその時は。
Yeah, sure. You could do what you want with me. There still is a fundamental difference of opinion here, but for now I think we can say the matter has been resolved. Fortunately, she wasn't so obstinate that she refused to listen to us completely. I'm sure she's a good person at her core. She just ended up having to resort to tactics that were less so. So, do you think you could let us out of here? I'm happy to talk more, but I'd prefer to do it somewhere that isn't here.
結界でいいのかな？解いてくれるかな？
You know, preferably somewhere less preferably somewhere less dull than grayscale background.
先ほどから外部から攻撃を受けています。
え？
私が解除するまでもなく。
Huh? What's going?
破られます。
Whoa! Shattering like glass, the strange bubble we're in disappears, and then
少し手こずった。なかなか優秀ね。あなた。
Kagi appears wearing her mask. Behind her is Orie.
ようやく会えたわね。宵の監視者さん。
She walks toward us with an air of composure.
好き勝手してくれた落とし前はしっかりと。これどういう状況？
Kagi cocks her head in disbelief when she finds us sitting on the ground facing each other.
かぐやちゃんたちもそばにいてくれたんだね。
ええ、万が一の備えは必要だし、それで、どういう状況？
一足遅かったね。
Noah too descends from the sky.
リクがうまくまとめたよ。
As hard as it was.
まとめた？
I guess. It's a long story. I give the girls a brief summary. Then they can get the full rundown later. But for now, they just need a grasp of this on the situation.
へえ、本当に対話で解決しちゃったのね。
いや、私はもうやるしかないって思っちゃったんだけどね。みっくんが話そうって。
対話に応じるなんて、随分と物分かりのいい資格ね。
Kaguya directs a chilling gaze toward Vega. For her part, Vega remains emotionless as she shifts to kneeling before Kaguya.
殿下。
私のこと、知っているのね。
もちろんです。王家とことを構えるつもりはありません。投稿いたします。
拍子抜けね。リクたちのピンチに現れて、大立ち回りする予定だったのに。まあいいわ、織江。はい、連行いたします。さあ、立ちなさい。
Vega obediently does as she's told.
枷をかけた方がいいかしら。
逃げはしませんが、ご随意に。
堀江、連れて行って。
はい。
僕も一緒に行くよ。念のためね。
Vega puts up no resistance as Orie and Noah take her away. The thing is, we just compromised by agreeing that she could watch over me. Are you taking her back to your high-rise?
ええ、ひとまずはね。軽い尋問を行った後、送還かしら。
Well, that's not going to work out. Right. Vega's going to be sent back to her world, which means she won't be able to keep observing me. Ultimately, it makes it seem like I was trying to trick her. I know I have no reason to feel guilty. She's an assassin, one who was trying to kill me. But it just doesn't sit right with me.
かぐやちゃん、できたらでいいんだけど。
送還の前に話がしたい？
スレイのこととかもう少し詳しく聞きたいなって。
But, Kurumi, you already know that the version of Slay that Vega has been taught isn't the real one.
構わないわよ。それくらいは。
Mind if I join you, Kurumi?
そのつもりだった。
Thanks. Shall we get going then?
どこへ？
To your apartment?
今日は帰りなさい。あなたたちの用事が終わるまでは送還しないから。疲れた顔してるわよ。特に、くるみ。
それほどでもないけど。
口答えしない。帰って休みなさい。また明日ね。
Kaguya says forcefully, leaving us no room to argue before turning on her heels and walking away.
一応、解決？
For now, at least, we managed to convince Vega, but there might be more watchdogs out there.
だね。
We're probably going to have to count on Kaguya to help us there.
できることはやったと。
More or less.
お腹空かない？
Starving.
なんか、食べに行こうよ。
Sure. What are you in the mood for?
麺食いて
Sounds good to me.
辛くないやつね。
I know. We walk off hand in hand. All our problems are, for the time being, resolved. I chose talking over fighting. I can't say right now. I can't say right now if that was the right choice or not. But I'm sure that it wasn't the wrong one.
うまくまとまるといいね。
Yeah, you're right.
いらっしゃいまし。
We still have much more to talk about after we're done eating, and with a million reasons not to go back to my place, we opt for Kurumi's instead.
着替えていい？
Sure, I'll wait outside.
いいよ別に。
Huh?
後ろ向いてて。
Oh, sure.
別に、見ててもいいけどね。
You're only saying that because you know full well I'm not going to.
実際見られたら照れまくるね。
Yeah, but like, what if you didn't turn around? I turn my back to her and sit down.
ちょっと。
We've already seen each other naked before, and yet for some reason I'm still getting nervous. I need to think about something to take my mind off of this. Otherwise, I'm going to hyper-focus on the sounds of her getting changed.
ごめんね。オッケーです。
She places herself at the other end of the table from me.
お腹いっぱいになったせいで、ちょっと眠くなっちゃったな。
You must be exhausted. You were transformed and using telepathy for a long time out there.
体力的にはそれほどでも、気疲れはちょっとしてるかも。てか、りっくんの方が疲れてるんじゃない？なんか、こう、すごい、バーンって。
Those are the best words you could think of.
うまく表現できんかった。
I was just releasing my mana back then. It doesn't even count as using magic. The truck incident was way harder on me.
そっか。ならよかった。
That reminds me though, I never did thank you.
なんの？
I didn't realize you gave me some of your mana after the truck incident, so thanks.
ああ、別に。なんか、できそうだったからやっただけだし。疲れてるのに頑張らせちゃうの悪いなーって。
Well, whatever you did worked wonders. I felt like I had all the energy in the world. What's with that serious face?
そういう流れに持っていきたくなっちゃったんだけど、その前に真面目な話してもいい？
Sure.
あの子のこと、りっくん、どう思った？
You mean Vega?
うん。
At first, I thought there was no way we'd get through to her, but then when we actually tried, I realized she wasn't as dead set in her ways as I thought. That said, I don't think we did anything to change who she is deep down.
だね。気になってて、私。あの子、結局一回も謝ってないなって。自分が正しいってスタンスは、絶対に崩さなかった。それに、言ってたよね。もう打つ手がないって。まともに戦ったら死んじゃう可能性が高いから、りっくんの出した情報案に乗っかったってことだよね。
She did more or less say that herself, yeah.
りっくんを封印するって目的。使命は、まだ諦めてないし、あの子。しばらくは大丈夫そうだけど、本当に、一応だね。まだ解決してない。
Kagi will probably put pressure on the watchdogs of Twilight, which hopefully takes care of everything, but we can't say that for sure yet. Ultimately, my powers are the cause of all this, and there's nothing we can do against them.
あの子にだけは、りっくんは世界の脅威なんかじゃないって、分かってほしいな。せめて、帰る前に。
That's the one thing she refused to listen to you about.
ねえ。他は何でも聞いてくれたのに。とりあえず、明日かな。話してみないと。
Yeah, getting her to understand would be way better than having to resort to using force. It just felt like we had fundamentally different values. If we can't get her to understand, then I at least hope we can find a good compromise.
だね。うん。もう二度と、デラックス月輪島で切られないためにも。
That was so stupid. I really want to ask her what that magic was.
子供に殺意を抱かれる呪いです。
Jeez, who would even come up with that?
よかったね、本当に。呪い解けて。
And I doubt we have to worry about me getting cursed again either. That's one thing that we have actually taken care of.
よかったよかった。というわけで。
She claps her hands together in an exaggerated manner.
真面目な話は終わりです。
Okay.
なぜわざわざうちに来てもらったのか、聡明なりっくんならお分かりかと思いますが。
I kind of worked it out when you mentioned your parents weren't home. Now you've gone all serious again.
ここからどう誘えばいいのかわかんない。
I never thought I'd see the day when my pushy girlfriend was completely stumped. What happened to the girl who ripped my... What happened to the girl who ripped my pants off?
覚悟完了すると、やったらーってなるんだけどね。心の準備ができてないと、臆病になっちゃうね、私。
Guess that means it's my turn then. I stand up and move next to her, so that I can start hugging her from behind.
なんか私たち、みんなが頑張ってる時にイチャつくよね。
Well, just be glad that Vega can't watch you while she's being interrogated by Kaguya. Wrong K. Yeah, it's fine. They told us to rest.
休めますかね。
It's rest for the heart.
それはそうかも。でもドキドキするし、休まるか？
Do you want to do it or not?
そうじゃなくて、緊張してます。
Me too, honestly. I'm already panicking over what I'm supposed to do next.
好きにしてもらっていいですけど。
Still feeling nervous, I reach out for her breasts. You're not wearing a bra? Then what's that fucking strap in her Sprite, brother?
どうせするしと思って脱いじゃったね。
Oh.
下は履いてる。下はあれでもそっか、脱ぐね。
She doesn't even give me time to reply before ripping off her pants and underwear and yoinking up her shirt. She stands up and moves away from me.
はい、タオル。
Thanks. She tosses me a towel, then strips off and unties her hair without the slightest hint of shame.
あ、髪ほどくの拭いてからにすればよかった。まあ、いっか。
How come only Noah had her actual Sprite, right? They just, lowered her down so that only the top of her chest was showing. From the top of her chest up was showing so that you didn't see any nipple, right? How come with every other character, it's just their eyes, mouth, and the rest of what the face would have on, but not the head or the face. Then she proceeds to wipe herself down. She does this openly in front of me, which starts making me embarrassed that I'm still fully clothed. If she's relaxed enough to be naked around me, then I need to stop being a wimp and do the same. So I get myself naked and join her in wiping down.
よいしょ。
Kurumi finishes off, then sprawls out over her bed.
みっくんもおいでおいで。まったりしよ。
Chillax, okay. Huh?
おやまだする気？
Nah, I'm fine.
していいのに。
Because we're both exhausted. That's enough for today.
まあそっか。エッチはいつでもできるもんね。
Unless you want to give him more mana so that you can go for it again. I put the towel down and snuggle into bed next to her.
したかったんだよね。こういうの。あ、ごめん。枕1個しかないのに、私使っちゃってる。
That's very unrealistic. Kurumi would be the type of girl to have at least 5 pillows on her bed. And if not pillows, they would be plushies. So Yeah, you could at least rest your head on one of them. It's fine, really. I stroke her cheek and as she smiles at me, causing her to giggle.
なんかさ、同じ話何回もしちゃうけど、
What do you mean?
これからどうなるかな。ベガちゃんのことが解決してもまた何か起こったりするのかな。
I wish I could tell you nothing will. What I can tell you is that I'm ready for it. Talking to Vega only made me more sure of it. I'm such a big deal that a completely different world to ours sent their princess to come and deal with me directly. We have Kaguya here helping us now, but in a decade or two, who knows? Maybe some other problem will rear its head. At some point, I'll die, and then there's the problem of me reincarnating again. If you look at things long term, Vega was right. It would be better for everyone if Diablo's power didn't exist. But I'm not noble enough to sacrifice myself. So if there is trouble in the future, I'll be there to fight it, because now I have the power to. I have the power to. I clench my fist slightly. At the end of the day, I'm not Diablo. He made his choice, and I made mine. He died, and I'll live and protect myself and all those dear to me.
リックン、どんどん前に進んでいくね。
I never asked for this power, but I'm stuck with it, so I may as well try and be positive about it. Besides, we've already faced down the biggest obstacles. That gives me confidence. If only we could work out how to cure your headaches, it would be set.
そうなんだよね。原因もよくわかんないからな。
Are you still getting the same flashbacks too?
魔王チュキチュキって記憶ばっかり。
We hadn't ended up seeing the same flashbacks lately.
ないね。エッチの時も起こんないね。
Maybe that phenomenon only happens when we're both transmigrated.
今日のテレパシーも問題はなかったね。
Oh, yeah. Nothing happened when you were telling me where the traps were. There goes my theory.
今までのことから原因を割り出せればいいんだけど。
It doesn't sound that simple, though.
だね。でもちょっと意識が変わるかもって思った。りっくんのおかげで。
What did I do?
したというか言ったというか。りっくんすごく嬉しいこと言ってくれたけど、もうちょっとだけ待っててくれないかな。二人の関係を前に進めるの。
I've made you wait ages. I could deal with a little waiting myself. Though I do feel like our relationship is moving forwards in leaps and bounds regardless.
確かに確かに。
She giggles happily and squeezes down on my arm.
今度から二人の関係聞かれたらセフレって答えよう。
Hell no.
私みたいなタイプそういうのいそうって思われがちだし、りっくんもそう思ってたっぽいし。
Yeah, it was kind of dumb of him to say that. I never thought you were friends with benefits. Only that you'd probably had a boyfriend or two.
お試しで付き合うとか恋愛上級者が言いそうだよね。
You have no idea how surprised I was. I mean, you were being so casual about it.
めちゃくちゃテンパってたけどね、私。
I know that now.
勇気出してよかった。よくやった、あの時の私。
And I'm glad I wasn't so much of a stick in the mud to reject you. I'm only here now because of you.
そんなまっすぐ言われると照れるじゃん。
I mean every word. Thinking about it, I kind of went and told Vega everything I'd be saving to tell you. So allow me to say it again when you're ready.
また私もちゃんと言うね。今度はお試しでとか逃げたりしないように自信を持ってちゃんと言いたいから。もうちょっとだけ待っててね。
Sure. The path the two of us have set out on may be fraught with trouble in the future, but I know we'll overcome it. There's no need for us to rush, because we're only getting started. We'll take this road one step at a time, together. The next morning, we head over to Kaguya's apartment to speak with Vega. Alright, what are we gonna... We're gonna learn more about her. Yeah, what are we gonna learn more about in regards to Vega? Also, using the excuse that the reason they did it with Noah and not with any of the other girls is because she's flat-chested is a dumb argument. Because there is no difference between any of the other girls from the top of the chest up. Also, Noah is the main route, I think. How hard would it have really been for them to do the same thing for the other girls? Right? They already proved that they have the ability to do it in Noah's route. So why weren't they able to do it in the other girls? I'm just throwing guesses. Right. Because here's the thing. This isn't just a simple... It's not a bug, that's the thing. It's just... The files have been removed. That's the thing. The files have been removed. That's why you have the name of the file in the top left, because the game is trying to call for that sprite, but it doesn't exist, so it just leaves you with that blank box. Right? That's the default, like, I guess, texture that the engine would provide if you didn't have the sprite ready. Instead of erroring out and causing a crash, maybe they didn't realize there was a second file for the sprite. No, I just explained why that isn't the case. The game engine that Ubisoft is using provides a default sprite so that when you get to a scene where the game can't load or can't detect the sprite that needs to be loaded in, they use the box so that it doesn't crash. Right, so the game doesn't error out. But either way, so there's a preloaded texture. It's more of a placeholder texture. Noah's tagging along for valid reasons. Meanwhile, Amani is accompanying us because she's curious.
メガちゃんは
隣の部屋。私の話が終わったら連れてくるわ。
Oria's not here, so she must be keeping an eye on Vega.
さて、尋問の結果を報告しましょうか。
尋問。
別にひどいことはしてないわよ。するまでもなく、彼女は従順だったから。
Kaguya shrugs her shoulders. I sure hope I'm not just imagining the disappointment I'm seeing on her.
始めてもいいかしら。
Please.
まず、宵の監視者について。構成員が割れた。かなり小規模な組織だったわ。
メガちゃんは一族って言ってたけど。
そうね。彼女の一族がスレイの理念を受け継いでいた。もっとも、熱心だったのは彼女の一家だけ。つまり、実質的な構成員は一族どころか一家庭。父、母、祖父、祖母、そして彼女。たった5名。
That's a lot less than I was expecting.
だから見逃してしまった。どこにでもいる平凡な一家庭がゲートを開いて世界を渡るなんて想定していなかった。偶然が重なってゲートを開きやすい環境が整ってしまっていたのも誤算中の誤算ね。
What exactly happened?
スレイの剣よ。わずかながら宿していたスレイのマナがクルミのマナと共鳴反応を起こした。二つの世界がか細くつながってしまったのよ。あとはそのつながりを強くしてあげればいい。マナの消費量は通常の手順よりもはるかに少なかったはず。おかげで見逃してしまったというわけ。
完全に私のせいですね。
仕方ないわよ。こんなこと誰も予期できない。もっとも、お告げさえなければ、ゲートを開こうとは思わなかったでしょうけど。
お告げって何ですか？
以前リクが暴走した時、クルミが沈めたんだ。その時の強い思いが世界を越えて届いてしまったようだね。
ああ、共鳴ってそういう。
魔王の力落ち着いてっていうのをベガちゃんたちはものすごく曲解したみたいで。
先輩と協力して魔王を封じねばと。
はい。なのでほんと全部私のせいです。もしもの時はクルミが沈めてほしいとお願いしたのは僕だ。きっかけを作ったのは誰かという話なら責任は僕にあるよ。
Let's stop playing the blame game, guys. Originally, it was my fault after all. If you're not helping...
まあ、そうなっちゃうわね。
きっかけってなると、確かに。
Wait, why is everyone piling on...
全部お兄が悪い。
Hang on. It's Diablo's fault, alright? Is it?
冗談はさておき。
Koge giggles as she gets us back on topic.
彼女の家族の身柄はすでに確保した。次の資格が襲いかかってくる心配はないわよ。
That's a relief.
ただ、不穏分子には違いないのよね。
Koge's face clouds over slightly.
さっき、平凡な一家庭と表現したけれど、それにしては、とてもいびつ。
In what way?
例の手記、織江が創作と表現したのは、あながち間違っていなかった。空想上の偶像化したスレイを彼らは信じているの。
メガちゃんがまさにそうだった。私の知らないスレイがあの子の中にいる。
魔王を打ち倒した英雄スレイ。スレイのように世界を守る。ありもしない空想を理想とし、何十年も受け継いできた一族。
Okay, so she really is just a kid. And I can guarantee that this fucking story that they've been passing down has been bastardized so much that the original version of this story is or would be 100 times less how would I say, exaggerated than what it is now.
来るかもわからない最悪に備え、彼らは牙を研ぎ続けた。間違った使命感を胸の内に秘めて、その英才教育を受けたのが彼女、ベガ。
英才教育。世界を守りなさいって小さい頃から言われ続けていたわけだよね。時には小さな犠牲を払ってもって。
そういう価値観を植え付けられているわね。だから彼女は迷うことなく片道切符の旅に出た。
片道切符？
帰る手段を持っていなかったの。あの子。
Oh well, looks like you're gonna have to adopt her.
じゃあ、もしお兄を封印できたらどうするつもりだったんですか？
封印を守り続けろ。と命じられていたようね。こちらの世界で宵の監視者を結成して。
You said it was only the 5 of them, right? Her parents and her grandparents. She's their only child. How could they force their daughter to do something so pointless?
そうなるわね。
お
それが彼らの使命だから。
Yeah, pointless.
家族愛に勝る使命。確かに歪だね。
Yeah, this is cultish behavior.
今、すごく複雑。あの子、封印どころか、りっくんを殺そうとした。そのことは許せない。怒ってる。
Is Vega's argument going to be like, oh, that truck wouldn't have killed Riku, the scaffolding wasn't going to fall on Riku, you know, it wasn't going to kill him.
でも、そうするしかなくて、そうすることに疑問すら持てない環境にいたことは、かわいそうだなって思っちゃう。だからといって、何しても許されるわけじゃないですよ。それはそうなんだけど、
ひとまず、私からの報告はこれでおしまい。あとは本人から直接聞いてちょうだい。
Yeah, but that's if she... Well, she'll talk to Kurumi, but not Diablo. I mean, Riku.
ああ、一つだけ約束して。彼女の語る話がどれだけ疑わしくても否定をしないこと。
なんでですか？
彼女の信じる英雄スレイが由来で逆上でもされたら面倒だから。
ああ、そういうことですか。
It was a load of crap though, yeah? Slay didn't actually kill Diablo.
魔族の内輪もめで戦争に負けていたら、歴史書にしっかりとそう記されているわよ。
Right. I see what you mean.
とにかく、否定や訂正はなし。いい？
Wait, what? Huh?
バックログ画面だ。
The history books claimed that internal strife between the demons led to his death in the war. How does that make any fucking sense? The whole reason why the Valkyrie was martyred was because she was the one who killed Diablo in a war between the humans and the demons. Why would that be retconned in the history books? If who wrote this fucking history book? Because I guarantee you they weren't there.
わかった。
They, yeah.
織江、
Orie immediately enters the room on Kaguya's prompting, complete with Vega in tow. Vega glances over at us, but otherwise she doesn't react to our presence. As she sits in the chair Orie directs her to. Orie then sits vigilantly behind the small girl, but she doesn't seem to be bound in any way. She must be cooperating if they're not worried about her fighting back. She was cooperating since the start, or I guess since she saw Kaguya.
こんにちは、ベガちゃん。
はい。こんにちは、くるみ様。
気分はどう？
変わりありません。
そっかそっか。
Vega answers the questions in a nonchalant manner. I was expecting her to still treat us as the enemy. But right now, she feels more machine-like than anything. There's no fear, no attempt at intimidation, nothing. Hermione frowns uncomfortably, either not pleased with the girl's attitude, or bothered by some other part of her first impression.
聞きたいことがあるんだけど、いいかな？
はい。私の知っていることであれば。
スレイについて教えてほしいんだ。
やはり不思議な気分です。ご本人にお話しするのは。
Yeah, especially since the version of Slay that Vega thinks she knows is completely fictitious.
前世について全部知っているわけではないからね。
Kurumi smiles and Vega, despite her discomfort, nods.
じゃあ、時系列順に聞いていい？ベガちゃんの知ってる限りで。
はい。
Vega nods once more, and then starts talking. She starts in the same way she did yesterday. Diablo was an evil, war-seeking tyrant who was eventually brought to justice by Slay and her evolutionary army. A complete work of fiction, just as Kaguya had surmised. But we do as we agreed and listen in silence, without contradicting her. She then moves on to what happened after the war. Slay used Diablo's defeat to sue for peace? Sue. Not try to negotiate for peace. Sue for peace. What do you mean sue for peace with the humans? Eventually restoring peace to the world. Yeah, that... Okay, sure. This, of course, is just as fictitious. After that, she entrusted the defense of the royal capital to a unit from the Revolutionary Army. I imagine this is what Orie referred to as the Public Order Force, the vigilant group that Slay set up. One member of that unit would have been, if I may describe it, in more modern terms, a deluded Slay stan. You can tell this is one of the longest. This is probably one of the longer lines. When it's this is the smallest text we've seen. This is the smallest font size we've seen so far. Their love and adoration for Slay was so great that they, if I'm being generous, broadly interpreted her order to protect the kingdom. Less generously, I'd say they intentionally misconstrued it. Either way, it's what led to the formation of the cringily named Watchdogs of Twilight, sometime after the Public Order Force. And that's how all these various fabrications ended up being passed down through Vega's family. I know earlier that I took a more you reap what you sow stance to this, but ultimately it was that deluded idiot who's to blame for all this.
王と守護部隊を編成して間もなく、スレイ様は姿を消されたと聞いています。
理由は知ってる？
誰にも何も言わず、王都を去ったと聞いていますが、おそらく 大殺しの席をお一人で背負われたのでしょう。謀反を起こした自分には国を滑る資格はない。高潔であるがゆえにそのように考えられたのでは。もしスレイ様がとどまっていたのであれば、スネーウは代々スレイ様に連なるお方が治めていたことでしょう。
Sure. That definitely would have happened. That's a pretty outrageous thing to say in front of your current princess. Kogi smiles in her traditional, broad-minded way. Meanwhile, Orie stands behind Vega with the most evil of grins on her face. It's so overwhelming that Amane does a double take upon noticing it and immediately takes a step backwards.
じゃあ、その後の足取りは、ベガちゃんも知らないってことだね。
はい。
それで、ベガちゃんのご先祖様ってほど昔じゃないか。もしかして、おじいちゃん？宵の監視者を結成したのって。
曽祖父です。私が生まれるずっと前に亡くなりました。
ひいおじいちゃんか。おじいちゃん、お父さん、ベガちゃんにスレイの意志が受け継がれていったってわけだね。
はい、その通りです。
なるほど。
Kurumi doesn't pry too much into what Slay's mission actually was. To be fair, we heard enough about them yesterday to know they're all a bunch of crap. There's no point in dredging that topic up again. Ultimately, this line of questioning proves to be a dead end. However, Kurumi seems more interested in Vega personally than in Slay.
次に、ベガちゃんのことを聞いてもいい？
なんなりと。
こっちに来た理由は、もう聞いたからいいとして。元の世界に帰るつもりはなかったって、本当？
はい、本当です。正確には、帰る手段がなかったのです。
Well, you didn't have a way of going back, but you do now, if you wanted to.
帰る手段を用意しようとは思わなかったの？
そうしている間に、世界が終焉を迎えてしまうかもしれません。
Yeah. Definitely would have. Or definitely could have.
魔王の魂を封印する。それが最優先になすべき私の使命です。
家族って、宵の監視者全員で来ようとは思わなかったの？
戦えるのは私だけですから。
Yeah, the rest of them are all old.
他の家族は？
祖父は腰が悪いですし、祖母も杖がなければ歩けません。父も前世紀と比べて衰えていますし、母は元より戦える人ではありません。私が単身、魔王の封印に臨む。それが最良と判断しました。
ベガちゃんが？
父の判断です。
ベガちゃんはどう思った？
どう？宵の監視者として使命を果たす時が来たのです。とても光栄です。
でも、二度と家族と会えないかもしれないんだよ。
別れは悲しいですが、何より優先すべきは宵の監視者としての使命です。
お父さんがそう言ったの？
はい。私も同様に考えています。
Yesterday, I got the impression that she was a girl with a strong sense of duty. But now, something feels off about that. There's something about the way she's answering. Who would have guessed that the sheltered kid with a warped world view was going to be manipulated by her family into thinking that her only goal in life is to steal Diablo's powers? Who would have guessed that she didn't have any goals of her own and only thought about what was what would have made her dad happy.
こっちに来てからはどうしてたの？
まずは、こちらの世界についてできうる限り学びました。何も情報がなかったので。
食べ物とかどうしてたの？
ある程度は持ち込みました。備蓄がなくなってからは、申し訳ありませんが、無断で拝借しました。
拝借？盗んでいたってこと？
はい。非常時ゆえ、徴収させていただきました。
徴収？
手を汚しても使命を果たすよう、父に言い含められておりましたので。
じゃあ、家とかも？
空き家を使わせていただきました。
てか、服もだよね。
はい。魔法で人目につかぬようにしていましたが、万が一に備え、こちらの衣服に着替えました。
それも、お父さんの指示？
はい。
封印した魂を、こっちの世界で監視し続けろっていうのも？
はい。父から託された崇高なる使命です。しかし、私は失敗しました。幸いにも、魔王の監視は殿下がしてくださっています。最悪が訪れし時は、殿下が魔王を処断してくださるでしょう。私の使命は、ある意味では達成されたと言えます。
Kurumi falls silent, sadness clad in her expression. I think I figured out what felt off to me. Kurumi must have as well, judging by the look on her face.
もういいかしら。
ありがとね、ベガちゃん。
いいえ、問題ありません。
織江、彼女は別室へ。かしこまりました。
Orie bows before leading Vega away. Not a second after the door closes behind them, Kurumi exhales a sigh.
お疲れ様。収穫は残念ながら何もなさそうね。
話をしてよくわかった。あの子別に使命感が強いわけじゃない。ただ自分がないだけ。言ってることがおかしい。かぐやちゃんがりっくんのそばにいること知っていたはずだよね。
She'd studied me enough to learn my routine, and she wasn't shocked when she showed up when she showed up yesterday. So yeah, she must have.
だよね。だったらかぐやちゃんが監視してくれるなら大丈夫なんておかしくない？それでいいならかぐやちゃんの存在に気づいた時点でりっくんを狙うのをやめてるはず。でもあの子はりっくんの封印に固執した。そういう風に言いつけられていたから。
なんか、お父さんがそう言ったからって、そればっかりでしたね。
リクの言葉が届いたのだと思ったのだけど。そうか。心を動かされたわけじゃなかったんだね。彼女は失敗し、使命を、行動の指針を見失った。だから飛びついたんだ、リクの提案に。彼女は、自分がどうすべきかを自分自身で決められないから。
かぐやちゃん、りっくんのことは自分に任せてっ とか言った？
言ったわね。似たようなことを。
やっぱり。だからだ。かぐやちゃんに任せれば大丈夫。なんて言い出したの。あの子、ただ流されているだけだ。
本人はそのつもりはないのでしょうね。彼女は両親の言葉に従うよう育てられてきた。両親がいない今、わかりやすい強者に彼女は従う。それが自然なことだと思っている。
なんか、それって、ペガちゃんを返すのって、いつ？
数日以内ね。準備が早く整えば、明日にでも。
明日。
悪いけれど、見送りは遠慮してもらうわよ。今の情勢で、魔王や魔王に近しいものをゲートに近づけるのはちょっと、ね。
Yeah, but like, if you just send her back home, that means she'll be influenced by her parents again. So like, surely we keep her here so that we teach her actual good morals instead of the twisted ones that she's been taught since she was born. Right? Yeah, things would only get worse if people thought I was trying to pass through to your world.
そう。煙も立っていないのに、火事だと騒ぐ者はいるから。うんざりするけれど。
見送りは、なんか私がするのも変だし、いいんだけど。決めた。ベガちゃんの身柄、ちょっと私に預けてもらってもいいっすか？
身柄を？あなた、
一時的に、2時間とか、3時間だけでも。
I thought I would have been. I was sure you would have at least said days, but hours? Okay, sure.
どうするつもり？
思い出作り？
思い出作り？
I mean, I understand she's still a kid and her brain is as malleable as a fucking as someone who's easily influenced as she is. But like, you know, I don't think 2 to 3 hours is going to change her worldview to the point where she wouldn't be able to, where she wouldn't be influenced again to try to kill Diablo.
せっかくこっちの世界来たんだし、観光的な？
妙なことを言い出すわね。
あの人に同情してるみたいですけど、鬼を殺そうとした凶悪犯だってこと、忘れてません？
忘れてないよ。そこは許してないもん、私も。でも、このままだと、何も変わらないから。私の前世の因縁もあるし、なんとかしたいんだよね。うまく説明できなくてごめんだけど。ダメかな。
逃げ出すことも、あなたに危害を加えることもないでしょうけれど。リクはどう思う？
Well, Kurumi throwing out ridiculous suggestions is nothing new.
すみません。
But I can tell she's thought this through, so I have no objections.
そう。ならいいわ。アマネとノアは？
私は、お兄がそれでいいなら。
今まで通り僕がそばで見張っていてもいいなら、僕も構わないよ。
なら決まりね。一旦、彼女の身柄をくるみに預けるわ。
ありがとう！じゃあ早速今から！
本当に急ね。
明日帰っちゃうかもしれないなら、ゆっくりしてらんないし、夜までには帰るので！
I should probably stay out of this, huh?
今回は女同士ってことで。おーい、ベガちゃん出かけっぞ
Kurumi patters out of the room.
相変わらず行動力がえぐい。
視覚に情けをかけるなんて。らしいといえばらしいのかしら。
I wish she'd been more able to explain things better, but I could tell this is something she feels she needs to do. But keep an eye on them for me, would you, Noah?
任せて。
They should be fine then. Surely nothing bad can happen. We just have to trust in Kurumi and wait.
さて、ベガちゃん。
Alright, listen, I know I said that that I'm recording more footage, but that's how much footage I'm going to be recording today. Because it kind of perfectly ends off. It kind of, that scene kind of perfectly ended around the time I would normally end stream. So that's what I'm gonna do. So, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, a follow would be appreciated. If you want to support me further, you can always subscribe. But, yeah. You know, I may have been talking about how it feels close to us ending, Angelic Chaos, you know, previous streams. But now I have a feeling that we are close to ending. But regardless, next stream, we'll be playing more Angelic Chaos. I'm not going to do that kind of thing where I don't end stream until I finish the game. But depending on, you know, how far I feel like how close we are, I feel like, to the end, I might do that. For the meantime, I don't think I will. But with that being said, morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and I will see you guys again next time. Bye bye.